Welcome, everybody. Um, Camille, great to see you and great to be here.
How's
So
it
much,
going, David?
yeah, everything's good. I mean, just so much happening. We're supposed to be winding down the year, but I feel like AI's only gotten intenser. And I
Yeah.
think it started off with like the 12 days of Christmas thing that OpenAI's doing. Then
Yes.
Comes out, all the announcements from AWS's Ignite show about some of the things that Amazon's doing. And I'd love to see, yeah, just hear your take on a lot of this, right?
Yeah,
Because
I
it's
mean,
hard.
let's just dive right into it. And first of all, sorry for the sniffles. I was a little under the weather this week, but I'm good now for the most part. Yes, I think what I have thought about OpenAI, let's go with that since you mentioned it first. First day, I think it was last Friday, they announced the pro mode for $200 a month. Uh, Big outrage. Everybody's complaining, including me. However, my complaint wasn't really at the $200. It was more about what are they gonna do to the lower tiers now in terms of functionality and limit rate limits and all. So we'll see. I did run into my first AI, OpenAI O1 model rate limitation this week, which I didn't have. I mean, I guess it was only out for a week, so I guess it's hard to tell. But at the same time, there's a lot of other things that are moving on as they. And by the way, just to conclude on OpenAI's 12 days of AI or whatever, I think it's called 12 days of OpenAI. So what I predicted was that the price anchored to $200, so everybody would get enraged. And then as we're still working our way through those 12 days, they're introducing more and more features. So the big release hit, I think on Monday, was Sora. They finally came out with Sora, which is their video model. Looks promising, although a lot of people can't get access to it yet. A lot of influencers got onto the pro plan to tell you how amazing it is and trying out Sora and all that. But honestly, to the vast majority of people, including myself in my day to day, I wouldn't get that at this point because I don't need it for the level of problems that I have. Do you have PhD level problems in your day to day where you would need these capabilities? I don't. There are tools that are good for research that cost way less than that, and I'm happy for that competition. What's your take on it?
Yeah, no, I love it. Coming from the early PC industry, where we saw, one year the spreadsheets, it was like $1,100 for Lotus 1, 2, 3 each user. Then it came out for $99. Then Microsoft came out with Microsoft Office, and you could get all the applications for $99, right? And I
Yeah,
didn't see that with the new announcement for OpenAI. We talked about it earlier this morning, right? If we add up all the different things we're paying for, whether it's like our Read.ai or Otter, or if it's our presentation manager, Gamma, get
yeah,
plugged in. If there's right, I mean the other things, if they said, okay, look, you're paying 250, you can have it all
right.
for 200. I think that's where we'll eventually see things going. But yeah, I agree. There wasn't too much explanation. And just with everything
Yeah.
moving, and I think it is so healthy though that we do see, three titans, Amazon, Google, and Microsoft really driving the technology. Microsoft, I'll kind of put them with OpenAI into the same bucket.
Right.
And
Yeah, I
then
mean, my biggest worry is really that essentially the worst thing that can happen is that you will have to pay your way to get intelligence, the best intelligence, because that's gonna centralize the future in some form or shape. So the good thing on this are the other competitors right now in the landscape. One that I was really, really surprised about so far, completely a loser in my mind, Google, when it comes to AI, even though they contribute so much to the space, if you think about it. This week, they've been quiet about it. No big presentations or anything that I've seen. It was all just kind of leaked through the media. No 12 days of Google for that, but they came out with their new models, Gemini 2. For me, what was most exciting was deep research with the, I think it's one Gemini 1.5 Pro deep research. Excellent for research, quoting, researching a lot of sources. You know, when I use Perplexity to research certain topics, I they're good. I mean, it was the gold standard. Now there's real competition. The thing that I like about deep research more is that it takes more time to digest the question, create like a structure of a report, and then goes through way more sources than Perplexity does. And the output, even though it takes about 3 to 4 minutes, depending on what it is, and I had reports that take 30 sources into account, and one just a few minutes ago that took 110 internet sites into account. So that it has to go through those sites and read it and find relevant text there. The output is much better than with Perplexity. When I say much better, it's much more um, detailed, so the writing is pretty good, and it forms a basis for further manipulation. In my point of view, it's in my case, it's ghostwriting newsletters, right? So if I want to get deep into a topic, that's definitely one of the avenues that I use now. I've done it, tested it out in my workflows, and it's really great. One more thing on workflow, the thing that I really love about it is that you can export the result, meaning the report, including all the citations and into a Google document on your Google Drive, perfectly formatted, no drag and drop with like those little stars from the markdown and all that. It's perfectly formatted. And then kicker, since I use Claude AI, another competitor to OpenAI, I use Claude AI for writing. The good thing about Claude AI, it has projects, and those projects can be filled with knowledge bases, and you can conveniently connect your Google Drive to a cloud project and then directly import it from there. So one more step saved. It's really convenient. I know this sounds, when I'm describing it, it sounds like, oh yeah, it's just pulling this, but multiply that every week times, I don't know, 10 times. It just makes it much simpler. And yeah, so definitely a winner for me.
Totally. And and I just caught myself because I mentioned the big three, but then there's Llama, all the stuff that
Yeah, I
Meta's
was going to bring
doing,
that up. Yep.
right? Then
I'm,
there's
I'm waiting
Grok,
if you,
huh?
which one?
Well, Grok with a Q and Grok with a K, right? So the stuff
Yes, Grok
Elon's
with a K
doing,
is free now, right?
right?
Including images and
Yeah,
search. So yeah,
right.
absolutely.
So it's really a battle. And then there's Mistral that's based in France, right? So you have stuff happening around the
Yeah.
world. And then just grabbing all this data and this intelligence with the new administration in the US coming in, are they going to put restrictions on some of this? Is there going to be a fight now to get to January 20th? Because everybody's going to feel like they have to tie things up before the new administration comes in.
I
It'll be
mean,
interesting.
I don't know. Have you seen Mark Andreessen on certain podcasts recently?
I heard about it. I haven't listened. It's on my calendar for this weekend.
So you mentioned that on Joe Rogan and on this, I forget her name. I should do her justice. She's a really great reporter. She has a podcast and she's very active in the tech space as
Like
well.
Kara Fisher? Is that who you're talking about?
No, her name, first name sounds like, I don't know if it was, I thought first of all it was a guy, but then I saw it was a woman. Anyway, in both podcasts, Mark Andreessen mentioned that the current administration actually, behind closed doors, was actively discouraging investors of investing into AI startups and essentially threatening that if necessary, they may deem the math behind our current AI models as a subject that is not allowed to be taught in school and in colleges, essentially making it similar to what's been done in the Second World War and after with atomic nuclear research and certain parts of physics. So I think that, with the appointment of David Sachs, for example, as the crypto czar, and I think he's also going to be responsible for AI policy, if I remember correctly. It's something with AI as well. I think this is going to be a way more favorable environment for AI development in America than it was until now. And I
Yeah.
think that's a good thing.
And I think you're talking about Bari Weiss from the Free Press.
Yes. Yes, yeah.
right? So it's BARI. So we'll put that in the show notes for the free press. Yes, that's one that is definitely on my list as I walk my dog later this afternoon. Right. And
Yeah.
it's really, again, just all the information and trying to keep track. But that was really interesting, some of the perspectives you shared about that interview.
Yeah, I was surprised. That doesn't only go there in terms of the regulation. Essentially, the government said, and that's all, but according to Mark, they said, we don't invest in it. We don't want there to be an AI startup scene, so to say. We want two or three big companies to own that space, and then these companies can be regulated indirectly through regulatory capture. And you can assume that the founders from those industries might have been treated similar to the ones from crypto space and what was the other one? There was another space that I'm forgetting right now, where the founders were basically debanked in certain circumstances,
Yeah.
and that basically making it unattainable for anybody to really put a foot down in it. So
That'll be
yeah,
interesting, right? I mean, the island of Anguilla owns the .ai domain.
yeah,
So would you go to one of these, islands, or I'm not sure what the extradition laws or what some of the rules are there, but I think that's interesting things to look at, right? Just as they have offshore bank accounts and some of the crypto stuff
right.
has to happen overseas or on islands in different places. Maybe that's where some of these data farms are going to be.
I don't know. We shall see. Another little I don't, this is not financial advice, obviously, but a little use case that I've been playing around with. It's not profitable right now, but I think long term it will be. I used ChatGPT as a financial researcher for picking stocks, and I did it while driving. I had a conversation and asking it what companies would profit from an environment where AI companies need nuclear energy as a resource to train those models and therefore create a more favorable image about nuclear energy, maybe being able to loosen regulation and essentially make the nuclear energy industry more center again. And then it gave me a couple of pointers, which companies are in there. And then I wanted to take it down another level. I asked, okay, instead of those uranium mines or whatever it gave me, what are some adjacent industries and companies that are listed that would profit from it? And it gave me this name of this one company. I'm not going to mention it right now, but it's essentially a supplier for the manufacturing of certain type of equipment for nuclear power plants. And I thought, oh, that's kind of interesting. We'll see. So I put a little bit of money into it, and we'll see where it goes. But another use case how you can just kind of have a conversation and then obviously make your own decision whether or not it's true.
Right. But that's amazing, right? Just all the peripheral companies that make different tools for these pieces are excellent. All right. Well, good. Well, hey, that was a great wrap up short show today. Well, I think we always have to keep them this short,
Yeah,
right? There's way too much info, so I'm not gonna say short. Long show today. Some of them may be shorter in the future.
right. I
Um,
mean, yeah.
yeah, and I think as we for the next few weeks, as we approach the end of the year, it'll be exciting. And then I'll be at CES the week of the 7th. So then we can bring all the latest and greatest coming from CES that Friday. And I do have a ticket for you, Camille, if you feel like going to Vegas. So you let me know.
Okay, I'll check my calendar.
Have a great
I
day.
know we would probably end up at a poker table.
Yeah, there may not be too much CES going on at CES.
Yeah. All
But there
right,
will be a
man.
lot
You
of
have a good one.
bad poker players always at CES.